What if the system designed to make you prosperous operates by rules you were never shown? Governments speak in the language of growth, stability, and opportunity, painting a picture of steady progress for everyone. But public messaging and financial mechanics are not always the same thing. Behind reassuring headlines and optimistic forecasts, policies move in ways that quietly reshape purchasing power, savings, and opportunity. To understand what's really happening, you have to separate the story being told from the structure that actually moves the money. Long before modern central banks and digital ledgers, rulers understood that controlling money meant controlling power. In ancient empires, coins were quietly diluted with cheaper metals, stretching state resources while silently draining citizens' savings. Medieval monarchs imposed forced loans, framed as patriotic duty but backed by coercion. These weren't random acts of desperation. They were structured mechanisms to extract value without open confrontation. The pattern is clear. When governments needed resources, financial control became the preferred tool, subtle, effective, and rarely admitted. Inflation is often described as a natural side effect of growth, a mild and manageable rise in prices over time. But step back and examine the mechanism. When more currency enters the system without a matching increase in real productivity, each unit quietly loses purchasing power. Your salary may rise in nominal terms, yet the cost of housing, food, and energy climbs faster. The result isn't dramatic collapse, but gradual erosion. Wealth doesn't disappear overnight. It thins out slowly, transferring value away from savers toward issuers and debtors. Taxes are rarely experienced only as a single line on a paycheck. Modern financial systems rely on layers of taxation that are often invisible in daily life. Beyond income taxes, governments collect revenue through sales taxes, fuel duties, property levies, and embedded fees built into the price of goods and services. Each individual charge may appear small, even reasonable, but together they shape how much purchasing power remains in private hands. The progression is subtle. As public spending expands, revenue must follow, yet direct taxation carries political risk. Indirect burdens spread the cost quietly across consumption and inflation, allowing systems to extract resources without constant public confrontation. The outcome is a steady redistribution occurring through structure rather than announcement. Government debt is often presented as a temporary tool, a way to fund progress today and repay tomorrow. Yet over time, borrowing evolves into a permanent structure rather than an emergency measure. Nations issue bonds purchased by investors, institutions, and foreign governments, creating a system where public spending continues even when tax revenue falls short. The progression appears stable on the surface, but repayment rarely arrives as a single moment of settlement. Instead, debts are rolled forward, refinanced, and expanded across generations. Interest payments become embedded obligations supported by future taxpayers, turning national debt into an enduring financial framework that links government survival to continuous borrowing rather than final repayment. Financial crises are often described as unpredictable shocks, moments when markets fail and emergency action becomes unavoidable. Yet these events frequently reshape who carries risk and who emerges stronger afterward. When institutions face collapse, governments intervene to stabilize the system, injecting capital, guaranteeing liabilities, or absorbing losses. The immediate goal is confidence and continuity, but the progression produces lasting consequences. Private losses can shift onto public balance sheets while surviving institutions consolidate power. The crisis becomes more than an economic downturn. It marks a redistribution point where financial structures reset, ownership concentrates, and the long-term burden spreads across taxpayers and future economic growth. Modern monetary policy is presented as technical management, a set of tools used to maintain stability and smooth economic cycles. Central banks adjust interest rates, expand or contract money supply, and purchase financial assets to influence liquidity. On the surface, These actions appear neutral and data-driven, but as policy evolves, its impact extends beyond stabilization. Lower rates can inflate asset prices, benefiting those who already own stocks and real estate. Expanded money supply can distort savings and purchasing power. The climax isn't sudden collapse but structural imbalance. Over time, monetary intervention reshapes incentives, redistributes advantage, and subtly determines who gains momentum in the broader economy. Regulation is introduced as protection, a framework designed to ensure fairness, safety, and stability in complex markets. On paper, rules exist to guard consumers and prevent abuse. But as regulatory systems expand, they also shape who can compete and who cannot. Compliance costs rise, legal requirements multiply, and smaller players often struggle to keep pace. Over time, industries adapt not just to markets, but to rulebooks, influencing the very policies meant to oversee them. The result is rarely visible overnight. Instead, financial rules gradually structure incentives, limit competition, and determine which institutions grow stronger within the boundaries of the system itself. Modern financial systems have grown so complex that even professionals struggle to explain them clearly. Tax codes expand into thousands of pages. Monetary programs carry technical names few citizens recognize, and government budgets are layered with terminology that obscures simple realities. Complexity becomes more than a byproduct of progress. It creates distance between decision-making and public understanding. As systems evolve, fewer people can trace how money flows or who ultimately benefits. The climax lies in this gap itself, where limited understanding reduces scrutiny, allowing financial outcomes to unfold largely unnoticed by those most affected. Patterns only become powerful once you can see them. Across centuries, financial mechanisms change names, evolve in structure, and grow more sophisticated, yet their underlying incentives often remain consistent. When you begin to recognize recurring dynamics in debt, inflation, regulation, and crisis management, events stop feeling random. The climax is not outrage, but clarity. Awareness shifts your position from passive participant to critical observer. Reassessing your financial assumptions means questioning narratives, studying incentives, and refusing to accept surface explanations without examining the structure beneath them.